Fireside banner in it. Oh, that looks good. Look at us.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Let's see.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That looks good. Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast, the official podcast of the Fireside Tattoo Network. My name is Jake. I don't know who this is.
Nope.
This is Robyn Pallotta.
Hi.
She's my roommate
Yes.
for the and booth mate for the week, and she's also. I won't call you I'm going to call you my practice dummy for this weekend. If that's okay.
That works.
Because this is our first episode at the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational.
Yes.
To which we were invited.
Mm-hmm. It's an invitational.
It's an invitational. And we want to make sure everything worked because we don't have our regular crew. We got Emily behind the camera, so let's see how this goes. So since Robyn is my roommate, she agreed to jump in on this first episode. Look at all these cords. So what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? You're going to be
So-
the guide.
So if you guys don't know, you might know Ty Pallotta, and Robyn is also a Pallotta, and that's because they're married, and that's how we know each other.
Correct.
And Robyn also tattoos at 777. Do you call it 777?
I call it 777.
That seems like more work.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I feel like you would have to write out triple.
Oh, got you.
So.
Okay, 777 tattoos in Manahawkin, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Formerly Austin, Texas. Well, you were never in Austin, Texas as 777
No,
tattoos.
no, we worked out there, but didn't have a shop out there.
But you were running a shop back in. You were running the New
Yes.
Jersey shops while you were tattooing at someone
Remotely.
else's shop
Yes.
in Austin, which is
Yes.
weird. It's already low. How is that? Okay. Well, we'll just use this. Yeah, and we can make cuts as we need to. Technical difficulties. We can put it back on a charger whenever we finish this. So before I was so rudely interrupted. So you guys, I think we talked about that though a little bit with Ty about running a shop from another side of the country, and
Yes.
obviously it wasn't ideal because you ended up abandoning that and moving back.
Yes, travel back and forth is exhausting.
Yeah, and trying to manage not knowing what's happening in a shop or no, but it's mostly booth rentals there, right?
I
So
feel
you
like
don't have to.
morale is low when you're not the owner in there. So like if
Yeah.
you're showing face and being part of it, they're like, you're part of the team, whereas, when you're gone, you're not.
Yeah. But if they're doing a booth, well, it does matter. I was going to say if they're doing a booth rental, it doesn't matter. They can kind of come and go on their own. But it's your shop, and if people are coming to the front door and no one's there to do tattoos or whatever, it doesn't
Yeah.
look good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you ended up going back. You've been back in New Jersey for a couple of years now,
Yeah,
huh?
about 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when you guys had moved down to Austin, you basically stopped tattooing at that period of time, right?
I did stop tattooing. Well, I started tattooing in 2009, and I tattooed till 2013. And I needed a mental break, and so I opened an organic juice bar and cafe and did that for a couple years, and then I sold that because we moved to Austin, and then when we came back from Austin, I went back to tattooing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so like an on and off tattooer.
Yeah. So I know your tattoos pretty well, but in case our viewers don't, what would you call your style?
So
do you
like,
do?
I guess inspired by Pinterest.
All right. I was gonna let you say it instead of me.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I mean, because really everybody, I get all of my inspiration off Pinterest too. I pull
do?
their I mean,
Okay.
I don't do Pinterest tattoos, but
Yes.
I pull tons of reference from Pinterest.
So everyone that I tattoo, their inspiration comes from Pinterest photos. So and then from there, I'm like, oh, okay, what do you like about this? What don't you like about this? Because I'm gonna draw it my way anyway.
Yeah.
But I just want to see what they want because I mostly do florals and flowers. So I want to make sure that we're on the same page because I could draw something completely different and then. They show
Yeah.
up and they're like, that's not what I wanted. So.
Yeah, but mostly floral, but very stylized, pretty linear. Some gray peppering and stuff like that, but
So
mostly black work.
It's all black. I don't, wash down my black or anything like that.
And
so
you don't use color really at
I
all, huh?
don't really enjoy color. So like the black is just, I guess whip shading is the best.
Yeah.
So fine line whip shading. How about
Yeah.
that with
Yeah.
white highlights?
What do you not like about color tattooing?
I feel like, okay, so my husband does very big, bright, colorful tattoos. I don't feel like I can compare. And not that I ever tried to compare myself to him because that's not really what I was going for. But like I've kind of found this style which I truly enjoy. So my first go around at tattooing, I did do more traditional, colorful tattoos, and it was like, oh, you know, it's okay. But now that I found my style, I love waking up in the morning, going to work, and doing these tattoos, which I didn't truly enjoy before. So I guess I kind of found my calling.
Yeah, yeah. And you've never really tried to push into large scale at all, huh? You like doing one shot?
So
stuff?
I advertise small to medium-sized tattoos, which is what a lot of people really want. And then women. I tattoo 99% of my clientele is women. I do small tattoos. They kind of want these little dainty tattoos, and that's fine. But when somebody comes in and I'm really comfortable with them, and I've tattooed them before, and they're like, hey, I want to do my whole arm, and we gel, that's when I'm more open to that. And then I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do these giant flowers on you, because that's what I truly enjoy.
So you are doing, I don't think I've seen any really big work of yours.
So like big work meaning medium, like
medium
for
size.
me,
Still, yeah.
like,
Not
you
full
know.
sleeves, but like the upper arm, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mostly all on one plane.
Yeah.
Not a lot of stuff that's wrapping the other parts of the body.
Yeah,
or anything like
not
that.
really. Not really.
Yeah. Well, what about your process in that you're talking about doing a lot of whip shading, and I'm sure we'll be dropping in some of your work. So you kind of do it is a whipped effect, but are you stippling it, or are you actually whipping it? And if so, are you using, like, a lot of people are using liners to do those whips these days? Are you?
Yeah,
what's
so I
your
use
process?
fine liner. So first I'll outline, and then I'll go and I'll drop my my machine all the way down, like to the twos.
Yeah.
To where
so
my
you're using a Cuban sidewinder.
Dan Cuban I use for everything, start to finish. I don't use any shader, no mags or anything. I'm just using, pretty much a tight 3 or a tight 5 liner, depending on what I want it to look like. And then I'm going and shading with a bug pin tight 3, like super fine. Just like it mimics a single liner, but it's 3, so you don't have to keep dipping the ink. I find with single liners, I have to go back. I'm like, where'd the ink go? So with the 3, it's just much more efficient. So I can do a pretty large piece in 4 hours rather than like, if I was to like hand dot everything, I'd probably want to kill myself.
Yeah, me too. So you're running that Cuban in the 2s at like at 2.5 volts or something like that.
Yeah, it's like 2.7.
Wow.
So I have to kickstart it, like literally,
it
like
won't even
jump
start
start
at
it.
that.
Yeah.
You have to like pop it and
Yeah.
make it go.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, do you find that you don't get a lot of like hang up in the skin or anything like that?
Not at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
Huh. That's interesting. I haven't watched you do it. You're not doing any tattoos this weekend, are you?
Not.
Just
I'm
hanging.
an observer.
But you are in when we go to
Hell City.
Hell City.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that and maybe get some
Okay.
footage. I've
Yeah.
never run a machine that low, and it's funny because one of the most consistent questions that we get, especially on our technique episodes, is what voltage are you running that at? It's
Yeah.
like no one can figure out what voltage they want to run machines at,
Yes.
and so that's an extreme 2.7.
I
That's
know.
as low as I've ever heard.
I know.
And then I see people like Baxter running the Cheyenne Pen that I run at 6.5 or 7. He's running it at like 13.
Yeah, that makes me nervous.
Yeah, and it's just like, so there's no right. It's just trying
Yeah.
to figure out where you make the most, like how your hand likes to move and
Yeah.
and exploring.
Yeah, like even when I line them at like a 4.8, it's not like I don't
wow.
run it very high at all. I don't know. I think it's just what I'm comfortable with. I don't want to move too fast. I'm afraid of blowing stuff out. So just running it slow, I know, like if I move my hand slow, I'm good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do you see them age at running at that point? Have you are you still able to see tattoos from 4, 5, 6 years ago? I guess in
like
the smaller
healed,
healed.
yeah. So like I've had a couple of tattoos I've done come back like a year later, just recently, and they actually, oddly enough, this is something that Ty and I talked about, is like, sometimes a line, like I'll do a line and I'm like, oh, it looks a little weird, and then like it leaves and then it comes back and it's perfect. And I said to him, I'm like, what do you think that is? Because I was really nervous about it. And he goes, I think honestly, like when the skin gets raised, it gives that deformed look. But when it comes back and it's perfect, I'm like, all right, like I'm.
So it looks just inconsistent when it's fresh sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah, in the photos, he's like, what happened there? Because we obviously zoom in on our
Yeah.
photos and, like, critique them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, when it left, it looked okay. I guess the photo just looks terrible, and then it comes back healed, and it's perfect. So I'm like, okay.
I've always thought it just you let your imagination go in what is actually happening in the skin because none of us really
No.
know that well. And so like I always noticed that if I come through and quickly line something, I can come back and get a second pass, and it's almost like it just sucks the line right in.
Huh.
And I always feel like I'm running a line and it's swelling on either side of the line, and I'm creating like a valley
Yes.
that pulls the ink. Like it's almost like I can't get outside of that. Like I can just quickly come through it that second time. I don't have to follow the line that closely. It's like it's a channel that it just guides me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not true, but it feels like it is.
You're like, but it works. So.
Yeah. That's how you start rumors on the internet because
Yeah.
we've done like 200 episodes, so people believe what I say.
Yeah.
And so now people will be like, oh yeah, definitely. There's a channel that
Listen,
it forms.
Jake said it.
Yeah, I
It's
heard
gotta
it.
be
I heard it
real.
on Fireside. It's true. It's science.
Science.
Yeah. Oh no, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying people will do that. If I say Emily's saying I have a big head and you guys all believe everything I say, what I'm saying is I will get feedback with somebody that's like, oh yeah, I remember you saying that there's a valley that forms in the middle of. Like no, I made that up. It's not true. It might be true. I don't know. So you guys, you were talking about how you zoom in and critique each other's tattoos.
Yeah.
And earlier today, or maybe yesterday, Ty was talking about how you think that all of his women look manly. All the ladies that he draws look manly.
Not
So
all of them. There's been a couple.
that look like women. That's good.
Oh,
So,
Feel
but
bad.
you guys are super honest with each other about.
like brutally honest. Like to the point where he's really excited about a tattoo, and I'm like, but what happened here? And he's like, what? And I'm like, sorry, man. I'm just like, so I always say I'm his biggest fan, but also his, worst critic.
Yeah.
So, but I think the same goes for me. Like, and it's good. It's a back and forth.
Yeah.
Like that.
So, but and you obviously been together for a lot of years now.
Yes.
So you don't take it personally. You take it as constructive
No, I do
criticism.
take it as constructive criticism.
Yeah.
It's that like pang of like hurt for like a second,
Yeah.
and then you're like, you know what, you got a point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is it? So you guys have raised 2 kids together. You travel the country together. You run a shop together.
Two
You both
shops
do-
together.
2 shops together.
Yeah.
You both do the same job.
Yes.
We don't talk to a lot of husband-wife tattoo teams. We had Euless, Blair, and Eva Jean on together, and they're similar to you guys. They own a shop, travel, and so I asked them the same question. Like, is that something that you would recommend to people?
No.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. So sort of.
Yeah.
It's hard. When you work with someone, live with someone, vacation with someone, we're literally together 24 hours a day, pretty much 7 days a week. So it's hard because sometimes you can't separate, the personal stuff from work. So if, he annoys me at work, I go home and I can't let it go. And he's like, but, like, hey, baby, we're home. It's fine. And I'm like, F off, man. Like, I need my space.
Yeah.
So it's hard like that. But I think we've gotten a lot better over the years as far as like, making it work.
Yeah. I guess no choice. But
No, yeah, out of necessity.
Right. So let me change the subject just a little bit and take a little bit deeper dive into the style of tattooing and your clientele, because this is
Okay.
something I've been thinking a lot about.
Okay.
And I've had a couple of conversations with other tattooers about it. So you know how, like, well, in tattooing this has never happened, but how like guys with like shaved sides of the head and beards, like at one point everyone had this like, what do you call that look? Like long beards and like super trim.
Hipster.
Like a hipster kind of
Yeah.
look. And then suddenly everyone looked up and they all kind of looked like that. And they're like, oh shit, I need to shave my beard because 99% of people have that beard.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I don't believe that like tattooing as a whole will fall, I think tattooing it's too ingrained to fall off. That type of clientele, they follow trends, right? I mean, they're looking on Pinterest for fine line, peppered kind of like that. That is definitely, you've ridden a wave that has been pretty big.
Yeah.
Do we reach a point where that group of people looks around and goes like, oh, like everybody has these tattoos now, and they abandon tattooing? And if so, is that a giant percentage of the tattoo market right now?
It's really hard to say because I feel like we've evolved with, like shows like Ink Master or like Miami Ink, whatever you want to say. Like it's made it more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, Miami Ink has really kind of brought tattooing to soccer moms, you know, because they watch a show and they're like, oh, well, all these other people have tattoos, I can get a tattoo. And it's kind of, you know, grown from there. So I get a lot of, like I said earlier, I do tattoos for people who don't really want tattoos.
Right.
So,
yeah.
like, you know, I do these little tattoos, tiny little roses this big, or like, you know, like little tattoos that are just so dainty that they're not considered big, full color tattoos like you've seen out of like, you know, well-known artists who are like just killing the game.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm catering to more of like a mainstream crowd. So
Right.
I don't know if it's ever going to die off. Maybe like, you know, maybe our kids are going to be like, you know what, our parents are tattooed, we're going to go the other way. You never know what's going to happen in the
Right.
future. So like maybe one day all the kids will decide that tattoos are lame and they won't get tattooed anymore.
Yeah. I don't think it's a far stretch. At least this next generation of like, whatever, 10 to 15-year-olds right now, or 8 to 15-year-olds right now, as they come up, like you just said, their parents are tattooed, the cops are tattooed, their teachers are tattooed, every authority figure is tattooed.
Yep.
And that coupled with the fact that there have been these massive trends in tattooing where everyone jumps on the same kind of bandwagon, not just, you know, I mean, obviously the type of tattoos you're doing are popular, but pick any style and look at how many artists are copying the person that kind of pioneered that style,
Yeah.
and then how many people are falling in
Yeah.
to get that type of tattoo.
Yeah.
And and the thing that concerns me is like, is there? I mean, historically in tattooing, people got tattoos. There was a deeper kind of meaning behind them historically, and now they're just cool. Like,
And now they're just like,
yeah,
I want my body covered from head to toe.
Yeah.
I don't care what you put on me.
yeah, I mean, constantly people come to me and say, I want a sleeve, but I have no idea what I want.
Yes. That drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
So do they really want a sleeve? They feel like they do because
Yeah.
they've seen enough of them, but they haven't put any, like, there's none of their own, they haven't put an ounce of effort into it.
Yeah.
They just want it.
Like you just want to look a certain way so you don't really care what's on your body like forever. And I think that's what a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like put together. It's like it's forever. This is not something that's like, you know what, I'll just go get it like washed off in a couple of months. I mean, like that's just not in my mind. It's like this is literally forever.
Yeah.
So
And especially on that kind of large scale. And it's almost like, you know, I want a Tesla. So that I go out and I buy a Tesla, and then in 6 months, I'm like, I'm tired of paying the note on this Tesla.
Yeah.
It's not even that cool. And then I'm trying to get rid of it. That's almost the mindset. It's like, I
Yeah.
want a sleeve.
Yeah.
But if you haven't really thought it through, and not that, you know, I'm not saying, I have a lot of tattoos that don't have any specific meaning,
Yeah.
but I have thought more and more about how, as this bubble bursts or as it starts to make its downtrend, that has to be what it comes back to.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
why?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are just like, oh, this tattoo has to have meaning. It has to have meaning. And I'm like, it doesn't always have to have meaning. It just can be something you like. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. You can just enjoy the design and move on from there. So it's hard to say.
And there are enough people that are specializing now, and it's almost like collecting from a person rather than a meaning. So
Which
that's
I
another.
love.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I love that people are like, I really enjoy this artist. I'm going to get some work by them. And like, you know, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like you just go to one person.
Yeah.
So
So as an example of that, what do your kids think about tattooing?
they could give a shit.
Yeah.
Neither of them have any interest in the tattoo industry. They grew up literally in a tattoo shop. So to them, it's not taboo. It's just commonplace.
Yeah.
They have no interest in getting tattoos. Their friends think it's, you know, cool that their parents are tattoo artists, but they're just like, whatever. Like, we might as
Yeah.
well be accountants. That's what I just say to everyone. I'm like, we're just not cool, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
Like every other parent.
And they're 16, 17?
18 and 15.
18, 15. So that exact age that we're talking about, like that's
Yep.
just coming
The
of age.
Generation Z.
Generation Z, right?
Which,
So
if you can research, Generation Z is a very interesting generation coming
Yeah.
up.
how?
So
What are some characteristics?
they are most like the Depression generation, so they're fiscally responsible. They're not entrepreneurs. They want to work for other people. They're not partiers. They're like, it's just amazing. They're a really amazing generation.
Yeah.
Very socially introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the generation that could cause that.
The collapse
Decli-
of the tattoo industry, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because you know that's who you depend on, probably. You know, and I don't have all the. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I would imagine that the bulk of people getting first-time tattoos are between 18 and 30 or whatever,
Yeah.
and so those two will be 18 and 30, or
Yeah.
you know, they'll
Soon
be
enough,
yeah 21 and 18 pretty soon. And so we're not too far away from that. So we're going to find out pretty soon.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be the entire generation, obviously, but I just, okay, so we obviously have seen an explosion of the tattoo industry in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
I feel like, the bar has been set way high compared to what it was just in the past 5 years. Things have just exploded. So it's like way more tattoo shops, way more tattoo artists, and then like maybe less people getting tattooed. Who knows what's going to happen? So
yeah, absolutely. Definitely the quality, the huge spike in the quality of the artists that have come in. It's like we're playing with A players now.
Absolutely.
And so those people will stay afloat.
Yes. I think I don't want to say street shops, but the non-custom tattoo artists are the ones that are probably going to be extinct.
Yeah. And I don't know it, but I just, it seems to me that this has been a bubble that's lasted for so long.
I do feel like it's a housing bubble for sure.
Right. How are you booking if people are interested in keeping up with you?
Email. I'm very, so I am.
Let's talk about that first.
Okay. So I tend to be very disorganized. And all my clients have the same name in my head, like they're all Kelsey's or Lindsay's or Kaylee's, spelled in variations.
Yeah.
And so I have developed through Gmail, they have labels. So I might literally be tattooing for Kaylee's spelled differently, and they want literally the same kind of thing, which, hey, I want a flower and butterfly, you know? So like, I have these 4 people who are basically the same to me, and I'm going through my emails, and I'm like, wait, which Kaylee was it? So I color code my email. So I'll have, when they send me an email, I'll color code it for blue, saying I sent my first response back. When they respond, I try to get them to decide on a date and a time and a design. And once we have that, then I'll color code it to, waiting for appointment confirmation. And then as soon as they confirm the appointment, then I'll do it to like yellow, which is my scheduled appointment. We're good to go. Moving on. And then once their appointment rolls around a couple months later, I have no idea who they are, what we talked about, what they want. So I'll just type in their name, and then their email will come up, and I'll see exactly what they want with their reference material. So email is like huge for me. People try to DM me, and I'm like, dude, just send me an email. Like, because I'm not going to have any idea who you are, when we talked, nothing.
So run through the color coding again. So when they first reach out to you, you do?
Sent first response, which would be like a turquoise.
Okay.
And then, when I send them available dates, I'll relabel it red, which is waiting for appointment confirmation. And the red is kind of like, hey, this is like someone that can't be left hanging. I need to find out what's going on. And then once they confirm, then it's yellow, because yellow is pretty neutral. So, but I also have bright red and fluorescent orange, which is bright red is a cancellation if you canceled on me, and then fluorescent orange is a no-call, no-show, which means you're never getting in my seat ever again.
Okay.
So I have other things going on there too.
Yeah. So are you the only one? Do you run the whole shop that way, or that's just for you?
Oh no,
so
we are all
Everyone
like independent contractors. That's just what I do.
Yeah. What about as far as doing the books and things like that at the shop? Is that your responsibility as well?
Yeah. I mean,
for everyone, or
no.
Just
Okay,
for you and Ty?
so they're all independent businesses running within our business. They have their own LLCs, their own accountants, their whole everything. So we just do a rent situation.
Okay.
Like, hey, beginning of the week.
They're responsible for 100% of their supplies?
100%. Like we do, like we buy toner, copy paper, stencil paper, cleaning supplies, stuff like that.
And no front desk help for them?
No.
They book everything? Schedule.
Same thing. So a lot of our people are the same as me. You have to email me to get in. I don't mind if you come into the shop at all. It actually is a much faster process. But I tell them to email me anyway, so that I have it like on file. It has to be like there where I can type in your name and you pop up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that everyone trying to move to. If you move away from having a front desk person, that's always a struggle, and you don't want to miss appointments. And I can't tell you how many people are on the show that go like, I put my phone number on Instagram. Like, you can get me, you can text me, you can DM me, you can email me, you can whatever. And it's like, whoa, how do you keep up with that?
I would have a panic attack.
Yeah,
my anxiety is really, really high. Like dealing with people. So.
Yeah, that. That to me just seems like a disaster waiting to happen. But I mean, I guess if that's all you do, I guess people.
I guess
have
if
their
that's
own-
your only way to keep everything there, that's fine. But my phone is just my phone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you guide everyone to email.
Yeah.
I've been doing the same thing mostly. How do you do? What about your scheduler? How do you schedule? Just through? I mean, you just do like you manually put it in your Google Calendar or whatever.
So I have a book, actual paper book.
Yeah, yeah.
I tried Google Calendar. I found that like user error. I was messing up times. Like, you go to put in the appointment and you don't have the right time, and then the person shows up with the next person together through the door, and I'm like, oh, I really need to go back to a paper book.
That's a bigger deal with me doing one piece a day. If I accidentally schedule them at 2 instead of noon, it's not the end of the world. But if you're doing smaller pieces, you might be stacking 3, 4 in a day.
Sometimes up to 6 a day.
Oh yeah, so you
like
can't have that.
I have a pretty good idea of like how much time I need. So I'll be like, oh, I need an hour for this, 2 hours for that. So like I can stack 6 appointments on like a Saturday, no problem.
How much buffer time do you build in between them typically?
I really don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of like, when I'm at work, I just want to work. Like, I don't want to sit. I don't want to like do anything.
I meant just to prepare. Like, do you have? I mean, you know the sizes and the scale and everything, and you're able to like you pre-make everything ready to go for the whole day.
Yeah, I draw everything prior. I print everything out with everyone's name on it.
Yeah.
Like, leave it at like when they walk in. Like, they're like, oh, that's my tattoo.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. I don't know their scheduling question. Oh, do they not get follow-ups? Like, I mean, so if you're doing it in a paper book, do they get reminders if their appointment's coming up, or do you have to call and remind?
No, they just show up.
They just show up.
Fortunately, I'm very grateful for that.
That's good.
I've really not had any no shows in a long time. So, well, I'm booking like 3 months ahead. So like these people have been waiting for 3 months. They're not going to just not show up. I take deposits also.
Yeah.
So like you don't show up, thanks for the money.
Right.
So.
Right. I use Square Scheduler, which it used to cost $30 a month, but it's free now.
Oh, okay.
And they get text and email reminders automatically.
Yes. We did have that a long time ago for Ty.
Yeah, it works pretty well for me. I'm amazed at how many times people are like, "Oh shit, I just got the message that we have the appointment tomorrow. I completely spaced it.
Yeah.
Can you Can we start later or something like that?" I'm like, man, I'm glad that thing sent a message, or I would have just been sitting here all
you were
day.
like, where's this guy at?
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Ty'sWifeTattoos@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Because I have no identity. I was always just known as Ty's wife. So
Yeah.
I kind of used to cry about it, but now I can embrace it and
Yeah.
laugh about it. So
And your Instagram is just Ty's wife.
it's Ty's_wife.
Yeah. So check out Robyn's work and chip in on this conversation on the specifically the part about the direction of tattooing.
Bubble.
The bubble. Yeah,
Yeah.
the potential bubble. And are we, and if that's a concern to any of you guys out there, because most everyone that watches this show, they're all tattooers for the most part. So they probably have their own opinions on it. So leave something in the comments. It's a conversation I think is pretty interesting, and it'd be worth kind of talking about.
Yeah, I would love to hear
people.
more on that, like other people's, take on it.
Yeah, me too. So say something. Thank you guys for supporting what we do. Thank you. See,
Thank
you did
you.
great. You were
Thanks.
nervous. That was easy.
Yeah.
All right. Keep up with us at firesidetattoo.com. We are at Evergreen for this entire weekend. I'll be with Robyn again in Health City, Columbus next month.
Yes.
After that, Tattoo the Lou in May. So if you're at any of those places, make sure to swing by, stop by our booth, make faces behind us while we're podcasting. We'll see you next time.